Hello. Today is the Sunday, 24th of May 2026, and I have been working on my Guy Fawkes night historical cozy mystery book. Today is day 2, I think. Practicing. So today, as I'm having a little fun, deep diving, has my books down there. There we go. Ta-da! That's my murder book. That's Expecto Petroleum. Today, just for fun, I thought I'd have a build a church in a village and think about where's Montague Manor set. There is a village, so found out quite a few little things. I was doing a lot of plannings with my geography background, like, where's it going to be built? So anyway, let's tell you what happened. So the village name, the village is going to be called Elder Coombe, because the elder trees will be embedded in the folklore growing on the chalk soils. And the word coombe in Old English comes from the word cumba, which means hollow or dry valley in the hills. So I was like, that's where my village will be. And also it's on a old route through, so the village is going to be mostly having buildings from passing travellers. Some things anyway. so basically the village is going to be called Elder Coombe, and in 1921, I had to read a note down there, the parishes had 3 components to the naming of the parish. Firstly is from the settlement name, second is the church dedication name, which is usually in the brackets, and thirdly is to do with the administrative hundred it sat within. So from my story, my parish, my village, Elder Coombe, is in the parish of Elder Coombe. And then I was like, oh, what's in a village? Churches. Normally there's a church. So then I went down a little rabbit hole. And then I was like, what do you call the church? What should we call the church? So then I was like, oh, hang on a moment. So church name, St. Michael's, that's what the peoples in the story will call that. So, that's a church, St. Michael's Church. And it comes from the Anglo-Saxon word meaning holy place of St. Michael, which is in other words Michaelstown. And that name was used back in the day. So basically any hilltop settlement that's become Christianized in the early medieval period, that is getting the name of St. Michael's. So the church, I went to a deep dive, I told you. It's basically a Victorian rebuild in 1864. It's built on Norman foundations, and it's going to retain its 12th century stonework, and it's built in a decorated Gothic style, made from a local flint and local bricks, because I don't know, forgot what. Anyway, and then I decided, oh no, let's do a little bit of architecture. So it's going to have a 12th century Romanesque front near the south door. That could be red herring, but maybe not. And on the 5th of November, it's going to be total darkness because there's no electricity, no light in the villages, and there's no moon, so there's no street lighting. However, you might see the glow of the bonfire from Montague Manor over the yew trees. So then I went on another deep dive about St. Michael's. Churches normally try to get the short version. So basically, back in the pagan times, the pagans, they saw the hilltops as the place between the sky and the earth. So they were like, oh, those are special places because they're up on a hill, high, low, in the middle bits. They were like, oh, we like those places on the hilltops. Those are sacred spaces. But then, I think as the Anglo-Saxons come along, then they went, oh no, those pagans, don't like those pagans, no. So then they went, So they basically built their churches on the hilltop, on those pagan places. Then they were like, so that's St. Michael. St. Michael, that saint, he's the one. He made Lucifer, devil. He made him, he made him like, thou shalt not be in heaven. No, he's a bad one. So then Lucifer's come down to the earth, and when the Lucifer's landed on the earth, he lands in prickle bushes, and then he's like, oh, those prickle bushes, grrr. So then he's like cursing them, he's spitting on them, and he's weeing on them, and he's stamping on them because he's not happy chappy. No. So oh dear. Whoa. So basically St. Michael's, that's what I was saying, I've gone around the houses a little bit. So basically St. Michael's is the one that's got that devil banished from the heavens, and he's fall down to earth. So then the Anglo-Saxons is like, who shall we put on these naughty, terrible people as pagans? Ooh, devils, ooh, they're scary, scary pagans. Let's put a churches, name it St. Michael's, because St. Michael's is the person that wipes the slates clean and gets rid of all the bad juices, bad jujus, whatever you call it, bad energies, and then it's just neutralizes out, makes it all like, what's that posh word? I forgot that word. Basically makes all the lands good, happy days again. So that's why there's many churches on the hilltops, like St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall and in the Francis. And that's why St. Michael's Mount churches is on the hills, and they named them St. Michael's because St. Michael's is the one that banished devils from the heavens down. So anyway, my church in my village is going to be called St. Michael's, yes, because of that. That's what. So a little fun fact. So that's why. So we have a St. Michael's, Devil Slayer. Then we have on the 29th of September every year, we have a Michaelmas Day, where we celebrate, we have a little feast to thank that St. Michael's. So that's why the first academic term of the school year is called Michaelmas term. And also the day of St. Michael's feast, Michaelmas, is one of the 4 points in the English calendar, which governs the legal, financial and agricultural year. So historically the rent was paid on the Michaelmas, and if you've been in the posh houses, you'd be hiring your servants on that day every year, and then you'd be able to go to a Michaelmas fair, and that's where you'd be hiring your servants, and all the tenant farmers would be their contracts with estates started on the Michaelmas Day as well. So then your farming tenancy ends or starts on a Michaelmas Day. So it's quite a big deal. Then also, so basically, there's a festival. Everybody's getting employment or unemployment, and also the harvest is getting accounted for. How good's the harvest? And the landowners is getting all the money from all their tenants as well. So yeah, went on a little deep dive. Back to that. So basically, blackberries in English folklore, there's a little English folklore rule that says don't be eating those blackberries after Michaelmas Day, because that's a bad. that's a bad. Because that's the day that the devil, Lucifer, is banished from heaven, falls down on the blackberry bushes, not happy, and he curses all those blackberry bushes, urinates on them, spits on them, stamps on them, so they're no longer fit for eating. So then the Guy Fawkes night is 6 weeks after Michaelmas. So basically every single bush around Eldercombe has been cursed since September's Michaelmas. So yeah, that's as far as I got with the story. I went off on a little side quest. But anyway, they're having fun. And I'm building my little villages now, even though the village probably isn't going to go in the story. I was doing a bit of fun world building. So anyway, that's where we are. I went on a little deep dive. So anyway, that's the day 2 of like world building a story. So anyway, I'll say goodbye now, because otherwise I'll go off on another side quest. Have a lovely day. Bye.